Welcome to the Checkered Shorts Podcast, a podcast of three fraternity brothers reconnected by their love of IndyCar. Join us for grid rival IndyCar fantasy talk, predictions for upcoming races, and reactions to race day results and all things IndyCar. Let's go racing!
All right, good evening. Welcome back to Checkered Shorts, episode number 40.
40.
2025 is well in the books at this point, and we're working on some post-season wrap-up segments and some episodes to kind of move us into the off-season. But with episode 40, do we have any kind of history lesson for this one?
Sure, but I feel like I was Debbie Downer in the last episode on Bill Vukovich story, but this one is in the same thread. So when I think about the number 40 was the car number for Swede Savage in 1973. I believe it was an STP livery, whose car just imploded coming down the front stretch. And just if you've not ever seen the video, I caution you, but it's a pretty amazing video. Just a ball of flame going down the front stretch when Swede's car exploded. So number 40 was Swede Savage. Also, the 40th Indianapolis 500 was won by Wilbur. That's not right. Wilbur Shaw did not win the 40th 500. Hold on. Let's hold on to that one. So we'll go back. Swede Savage, number 40, 1973.
All right. So
it shows you that it's a sad part of racing too. I mean, it's scary stuff, especially back in the day when it wasn't nearly as safe and all that stuff. So yeah, part of history.
Yeah, so as part of wrapping up our season, we did have our first ever Grid Rivals competition out there for fantasy racing. I had a lot of fun at the beginning. It took a minute to kind of figure it out. Didn't quite understand how everything worked with the contracts, but as things moved on, it got a little more interesting, a little more exciting. But we do get a crown a Grid Rivals champion right here on episode number 40. So, and with a name like Professor Dinwiddie, it's no. That's where I might have put my money at the beginning of the season. He started off slow, but steadily moved up through the competition and held on to the first place spot for the last 3 weeks of the season where he took it over. So congratulations, Brian.
Thanks, guys. Just like Connor Daly said, I think I found something partway through the season, and little strategies seemed to work out towards the end. And I tried to mess it up at the end. I got to the point where I had enough money I could really front load my lineup, and that left me in the hands of Nolan Siegel on Sunday, and that was a little.
He finished, didn't he?
But Nolan finished. All I needed him to do after Pat's boy Raz decided to put it in the wall and turn one of lap one. I
knew the day was over.
All I wanted to do was just give me 200 laps, buddy, and that's what he did. So
I spent I think all but like $100,000, which in that game is not much at all. So I canceled contracts. I canceled like 3, even took the penalty, and still I went for broke. But no, it was fun. It was a lot more fun after a few races, after you kind of figured out what was going on. So I'll do it again for sure. We'll get it bigger next year for sure.
Hopefully next year we can get half a dozen to a dozen more folks join us in there, make it a more fun, lively competition. But it was enjoyable, and I can say that we'll do it again next year, I believe.
Yep. I agree.
Good stuff. Definitely enjoyable. Just it gives you something to watch while you're watching the race. You've also got that going on in the background, so you're thinking about your drivers and where they are and paying attention. So
it's just a different way of doing fantasy, which I can appreciate.
Yeah. So our final power rankings of the season. It's difficult because people started strong. People didn't finish strong. People at the end who typically do run well started to pick up steam throughout the season. So these aren't based on points. A lot of this is just based on our own subjectivity. The three of us get together and put together our own individual top 10 list. and then Brian calculates and does the numbers, averages out our own individual placements for our checkered short power rankings of the season. I think at least at the top, it was kind of a no-brainer, wasn't it, Brian?
Yeah. Obviously, the top two, they really stood out this year in Palo and Pato Award. And then we actually agreed on 3 and 4. I struggled from 3 to 10 because I think you really could just make it an 8-way tie for third place. But we all agreed that we had Scott Dixon and Christian Lundgaard there. Lundgaard being a surprise because he had no victories. We had 7 guys who won races this year in 2025, and Christian wasn't one of them. But I think his performance throughout the year, especially on road courses, and then at the end of the year, the way he kind of started to come around on ovals impressed us. So he ended up in our 4th spot.
Yeah, I think with Lundgaard, I mean, he was showing out a little bit. He came out of the gates a little bit hotter than Pato there. Obviously, it got reeled back a little bit. Pato came to his true racemanship, if you will. But Lundgaard, yeah, I think what you said, he stuck around and earns that. I think but I think he's a solid 4th for sure.
Yeah, so 5 through 10, it was all a shuffle. So we're going to do this a little different than we've done in the past. You guys normally just get our consensus top 10, but we're each going to share our own individual 5 through 10, and then Brian will tell us the average. So for myself, I had Armstrong at 5, and then 6, I had Power, and 7, I had Kirkwood. You guys want to run down your 5, 6, and 7?
Sure. At 5, I put Will Power. At 6, I had Kyle Kirkwood. By the way, those are both race winners. So I felt like they deserved to jump up there. And then Armstrong in 7th, who was just solid throughout the year for the most part.
Pat, what were your 5, 6, and 7?
My 5 was Armstrong, 6 was Power, 7 was Rosie.
All right, so both of us, all 3 of us, had Power and Armstrong in the 5 and 6. I guess Pat and I leaned a little more into the consistency of Armstrong, where Brian, you saw the victory. You saw the victory for Power as the thing that tilted the scale in his direction.
That's why I love doing this. But my thought is, if there was a race tomorrow, who would I want up there? Who would I be? Yeah, who would I be picking? But Dinwiddie's not wrong by putting Kirkwood up there. That's why I like it. You could go back and forth on all of these, and I could agree with Dinwiddie too. But that was just my thought process. Armstrong's been a top 10 machine.
It's just been hard for me for Kirkwood because he hasn't even been on my radar for the second half of the season.
Not even getting interviewed on TV anymore, just because what did he win? 3 or 2?
3 races.
Yeah, 3 races off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
I mean, he got a top, 6th, I think, 6th or 7th in Nashville. But other than that, it wasn't not talked about at all. So that, he finished 4th in the standings. But yeah.
So our 8, 9, and 10, they even get more diverse, I believe. For me, at 8th, I had Rosenquist. At 9th, I had McLaughlin. And at 10th, because of the strong showing to finish out the year, I did go ahead and throw Newgarden up there because we talk about it every week. He's one of the best guys out there every time he puts the helmet on, and things did not go his way for most of the season. Even popularity dropped off pretty drastically after the stuff at Indianapolis 500, and then just kind of his personality. But he's always there, especially if we're going to have a bunch of oval racing. He's going to be pushing, and maybe he can take this momentum into the off season.
Yeah, my 8 was Kirkwood, 9th was Herta, and then 10th was Scotty. I thought Scotty delivered those last 2 races, 2 top 3 finishes that solidified him for me. Kirkwood, what I've already said, and then Herta, he was there. He deserves a top 10, just didn't show out much this season.
And then to finish this out there, at number 8, I put Christian Rasmussen. He's a race winner again,
Yeah.
but really just showed kind of, I think about guys that can really wheel a car. I thought Christian really showed us something this year in that ECR car.
Mm-hmm.
Another one you guys didn't have on your list was David Malukas. I thought the guy who's most likely moving into Will Power's spot had a really good year, and Nashville was an unlucky moment there. And then number 10, again, a guy that we all thought would be at the top of this chart, at the beginning of the year was Scotty Mack. So got him in there in the top 10. Didn't have Newgarden. Wanted to get Newgarden in there, but just couldn't find a spot for him.
Yep, I sort of agree. I think just with Rasmussen and Malukas, I want to see a little bit more out of them before. And next year's the year, not to say that they don't deserve a top 10, but I want to see just a little bit more. There were some inconsistencies, so that was why they fell off.
Hey, call me a loyalist, but see, I had a spot for Newgarden because I just took Herta right out of my lineup. You're gonna go join the JV.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, maybe he already knew it, and that's why he wasn't driving very well those past few races. Could be.
Yeah. So what did our final 5 through 10 our averages go?
Yeah. So just to recap, we had Palou, Pato, Dixon, Lundgaard as our top 4. So then for number 5, you guys outweighed me. Marcus Armstrong comes in at number 5. He and Will Power actually tied, but because of the tiebreaker method I used, Armstrong over Power. We're 5 and 6. Kyle Kirkwood at number 7. Rosenquist, based on the strength of where you guys had him ranked. Again, another one of those guys that was consistent at number 8. Scotty Mack at number 9. And then rounding out our top 10 was Christian Rasmussen.
Okay.
All right. And that brings us right to the We Got Beef segment because, you could argue that we're just a couple of fans, that weekend warriors want to run around and watch some races, have a good time. And, maybe we're a bunch of novices. But the IndyCar power rankings, I mean.
This guy's a joke. He is, dude. Eric Smith. By calling him out, I don't know how many people follow. I mean, he has followers, but nobody clicks on this stuff. He has 1 like on this power ranking. So, his are just bad. This week's actually not as terrible, but we'll put it this way. He has Alexander Rossi as 4th.
Who none of us had in our top 10.
Nobody should. You shouldn't. Nobody should. Pato's number 3. Go figure that out. Scotty Mack's number 2. Again, it's all subjective, however you want to look at it. And you can, I guess that's just his way of, he does it differently than we do. But to put Scotty Mack as number 2 when I don't even know where he is in the standings. It's silly. So yes, I got beef with Eric Smith. Callum Ilott, you could arguably say Callum had a really good season, but he's number 10. I could listen to that argument, but Rossi in 4, and Scotty Mack in number 2. It's just a joke. It's really bad. And you work for the series.
Callum, and I'm a Callum fan, but Callum finished 21st in the points.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, okay. Then
Rossi you're right. Finished 15th in points, and he's number 4 on Eric's list.
It's just I get when you get a hot driver and he's doing really well these past few races, and Rossi probably would be considered that. He finished 10th in Nashville and 4th Milwaukee, maybe. I might be making that up, but did well in Milwaukee. So yeah, he would moving up there, but to put him 4th is a joke. So I got beef with Eric Smith and NTT. You're a professional. We're doing this. We have 2 educators and a landscaper just doing this for fun. We don't get paid to write this crap. So just annoying, really bad, unprofessional. You're a joke. And it's not just this week. His other weeks were bad too. He had Callum at 4th one time.
like, are they clickbaiting us? What's going on here?
No, and that's what you would think that, but there's no likes or anything. And I comment and nobody comments back. So like nobody watches this stuff, but I do. So, all right, tangent over.
Well, going from silly power rankings, let's talk about silly season. So
Big news.
all the news is out there. Some of it you kind of anticipated seeing on the forefront with some of the changes. You heard rumors throughout the season. But bring us up to speed on where we're at currently, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, we all were waiting for that first domino to fall, right? And we thought that first domino was going to be the willpower Penske situation. Roger kept saying, well, we're going to talk about it. Will and I will talk about it, blah, 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 blah. And that did come, but it came, we started hearing some rumors about some F1 news. We heard Alex Palou, we heard Colton Herta. Ultimately, like one rumor that was out there, like I think when it first came out, we were all just kind of shaking our heads like that. Why in the world would that be real? But it turns out that Colton Herta is leaving IndyCar. He's headed to become the development driver for Cadillac's F1 program. So even though they named their two drivers for F1, he is now going to basically be their F2 driver and then maybe get some practice time and kind of be a reserve driver maybe for the F1 team. So Colton leaving Andretti IndyCar to head to kind of the same organization in F1. So that was the first domino. And then, man, really quick after that, which lets you know that this has kind of been in the works for a while. The next day, Will Power signs a contract with Andretti. So he's out of that Penske seat and off to Andretti Global to drive that number 26. So those are the kind of the big two moves that have happened that have kind of closed one seat and opened another one.
First thing is, I think I'm going to put money on Will Power winning St. Pete next year. Andretti's are always dominant there, but put that guy in that car, it's going to be on rails, I think. So I'm excited, really excited to see Power in that seat. It sounds from the Connor Daly interview, which I thought was great with Power. Or was it Connor or was it Hinch and Rossi? Whichever one. He gave a little bit more insight, like, hey, come to Detroit. Roger wants to talk. He's like, I'm good. I don't want to come because they're only going to offer him 1 year. He stuck to his guns. He's like, man, I'm better now than I was 15 years ago. So kudos to the guy. And he's right, I think. Saying he's like, I'm still consistent. I'm still winning races. There's no fall off. He's like, once I see it, obviously I'll back down, but excited to see Power get a little vengeance maybe next couple seasons.
I was impressed with the way Will handled it, though.
Yeah.
Very gracious for the time that Roger has given him and the ability to race for that organization and drive that car, win championships, 500, etc. But he knew it was time to move on, and right. I don't know. We don't know what he was offered, if it was a 1-year deal, if it was a 500 ride, what it was. But obviously Will is betting on himself, and obviously Andretti thinks that there's more left in Will's tank. So
sure.
Looking forward to seeing that.
Yep. The whole Herta thing, I kudos to him in getting that seat. He's got a lot to prove to me going to F1. You can't finish 11th in the IndyCar season and expect to do much. These are, you can't wreck in a qualifying lap. So he's got a lot to prove. He's a good race car driver, don't get me wrong, but it's a totally different breed over there, man. And they don't like Americans.
Well, yeah, that's all true. But Dan Taurus, the owner or the CEO of Andretti Autosport, shared some things in an interview I heard about when Colton's been in the simulator or when he's driven cars over there, like he has really impressed people. Obviously, he's got to get used to those Pirelli tires versus the Firestones, and it's completely different car, different tire, different track. Got to learn some of those tracks. Some of those tracks he knows because he was over there in his junior categories. He was over there in Europe. I listened to the F1 or watched the F1 race this morning, and yesterday I watched some practice, and they were talking about Colton. They really think he can be something special there. They see the talent. So, I think maybe he's a different type of American to them. He came up in their system. They know him. He's that California kid. He's Brian Herta's kid, which, Brian's got that name in racing history. So maybe that plays in his favor. Maybe he's able to do something when he gets over there. I wish him luck. But I was also interested to hear him say he plans to come back to IndyCar at some point for something. So after his F1 days are over, maybe he comes back and gets a ride, or maybe he's a 500, one of those Ryan Hunter Rays or somebody like that at some point. So looking forward to seeing what Colton can do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely rooting for Cadillac F1 team, no doubt about it, and Colton. I don't really have an allegiance to anybody over there, so I'll take Andretti and Cadillac all day.
So the one that really perks my interest and I get excited about is, where is VK going? I feel like he's a fun guy to follow. He's got some swagger to him. He's a good looking dude walking around. When he walks into the paddock area, you can tell who he is. You know who he is. And he's proven that he's got some nerves of steel, and he's shown it on the track this year.
He's one of those guys you want to see, like, put him in a good car. What can this guy do? There's probably 5 or 6 other dudes in this series that put him in a car, put him in a Ganassi car, put him in a Penske car. Let's see what this guy can actually do. Is he a really good race car driver, or is it, can the equipment help him?
Well, I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% sold that that's David Malukas' ride in the number 12.
Sure.
2 years ago, 3 years ago, Penske was looking hard at Renus. I think that a year ago, or February 10th of this year, they probably didn't have him on their list anymore. But after what he's done in Dale's car this year, maybe they're going to hold off. They don't know how much longer they're going to have Newgarden and McLaughlin. I mean, Newgarden has said some things. He's been frustrated. Maybe they sit Lucas back a year. Maybe they keep him in that Foyt car for another year, and they throw Renus in there. He's got a better resume, truly, than what Malukas has. So maybe that's the play.
Super interesting. Yeah. I heard rumblings that he would go to AJ, which obviously is still a Penske affiliated, but you might be right. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't put him in. I would probably put him in Power's seat. Just based off of history. I mean, he has won a race before. Malukas, not all of it was his fault why he had not a bad season, but just, wasn't the season I think they were hoping for.
So what seats do we know are open? What seats do we predict will be open? Obviously, the Penske seat of Will Power, and there's a lot of rumor around it. Are there any other teams that we know for sure that they're not bringing their driver back?
Well, we don't know for sure on either, but I would say Juncos has 2 spots that are under contract right now. So I know Stingray brings a lot of money, but this is the 3rd team in 3 years, and we're still not seeing results. So I got to think that one's going to be open. I'm hoping Connor stays in his.
I would guess Connor stays. He's got to find some funding, but I think he's deserves that seat unless somebody brings a good driver, brings some money. But I think he stays.
I think both obviously Renus's coin spots open, and I just don't. Again, I don't see Jacob Abel coming back.
No way.
Again, it's guy who brings money. They've got their own shop. It's been a good partnership. Maybe it's a 500 only deal, but I got to figure that one's open.
I think my thought would be Hauger would move up because it's an Andretti car, Honda powered. move him into the freshman season of IndyCar at a coin. And then there's been rumblings of Roman coming back.
Yep.
Has done well for coin back in the day. So those two just, yeah. I mean, who else? Armstrong is signed. Felix, I think, is safe, right?
Yeah. Both Meyer-Shanks are solid at this point. All the big teams are safe. Except I'm still questioning Nolan Siegel at McLaren. Zach Brown can say we've got our drivers for now, but we've seen what McLaren's done with drivers, and
had 8 drivers a year ago.
This is a year and a half now with Nolan and no results. It just seems really odd to me that he's continuing to open that. And I originally, you guys know this, I sent it to you. I originally, when Renus said he wasn't coming back to coin, that's where I put him.
Yeah.
Was with McLaren. So I think that's a spot. I still think that Ray Hall's going to have a spot. I know that Devlin brings money as well, and they needed that this year.
He's terrible.
But again, here's another guy who's had his chances with 2 different teams and hasn't succeeded. So I think he's got to be. I think that's got to be a spot that's open. Obviously the Foyt spot is available.
Well, you got the Prima. Prima might not even be coming back.
I think Prima's back. I heard that they are having some talks with an investor, but I think Callum will be back. I don't feel Schwartzman is coming back. I feel like he enjoyed his time in IndyCar, but I think he wants to get back to the F1 ladder and Europe and being back in Europe.
He's all but said I'm leaving. Pretty much. Who else? So Ganassi's straight up. I don't know if there's really.
ECR's got both their cars locked up for next year.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think there are any other spots than that. But there's a lot of good drivers out there. You mentioned Grosjean earlier, and I know I've heard that about him going to coin. Don't forget that he's been the reserve driver for Prema this year and been working closely with that team. Could he slide into that Schwartzman spot?
I would think so. I mean, I don't know why not, right? It makes sense.
Linus Lundqvist is sitting out there. We know that guy, if he's got funding behind him, got results last year as a rookie, was the rookie of the year. So I've heard that's a Juncos spot. So maybe that's the Juncos lineup is Daly and Linus.
So really it's going to see how one drops and see what happens after that. They can all come tumbling down at once.
Yeah, I think we were waiting on that willpower domino. Now I think it's the Malukas VK. I think whichever one of those goes first is kind of the next piece that.
Penske's sitting really pretty, honestly. With both of those drivers still developing. I think Malukas more than VK. If VK gets that seat, he's got to show up.
Yep.
There's no more. You got a year to figure it out. Nope. You know what you should be doing. Malukas,
he's really like the second coming of Simon Pagenaud.
Yeah.
If you think about it, his trajectory has been very similar to Simon's, and Simon was very successful with Roger.
Yep. So yeah, no, I mean, Yuri Vips, could he come back in? Stuff like that. It'll be interesting. And then does somebody drop a car and does somebody add a car? If Ray Hall says no, we're just going to do 2 cars. Who picks up that 3rd car or the 4th car, something like that. So, interesting, silly seasons, fun stuff. Love it.
Yeah, so I think that's good enough for episode number 40. What a milestone. We started.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. 40 is pretty crazy.
And then to think that we've done this 40 times, it is wild. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We got future episodes coming out. Hopefully, we're going to get a schedule posted soon.
Yeah.
We're going to have more of these cards, as the dominoes fall and the shuffling takes place. We want to talk about that. We also want to talk about what our ideal setup would be for a future season and kind of what we think the trajectory of things are headed with the partnership with Fox.
I mean, I think now that the season is over, and yeah, like you said, let a few of these cards fall, and then give our race recaps, a few awards, overall awards sort of thing. Once we try to remember the whole season, if you will. So no, I think these next episodes will be fun, but important too, for sure.
All right. Well, we thank you for joining us on Checkered Shorts. Catch us coming up again soon next week, episode 41.
41.
All right. Take care, everybody.